We are now live on YouTube. Does anybody know?
Thank you, Karen.
I'm also getting messages across my screen that my internet connection is unstable, so I hope I do not crash. Just so we know, especially during public
If we
hearings.
happen to lose you during a roll, so if we lose you, do we all lose? Or do we all get dropped?
You shouldn't. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It seems like that happened once. I'm not sure, or I think it's when I actually exit the meeting. If I happen to drop off, I think the
Okay.
meeting still goes. But it's happened when I exit the meeting, everybody, purposefully everybody drops off. But my concern is if it's going on during the public hearing.
Okay.
So if I do get lost.
Karen, set me as alternative host. If you set me as the alternative host, if you drop off, I should get host duties.
Okay. We've tried that before now, and that
It worked as long as you don't start another meeting. This one will continue to go if you drop off. So just set me up as the alternative host. That means if you leave the room, host duties get assigned to me.
okay.
We'll be able to continue.
Hey,
So my
Dan,
only
can you hear me
option-
at all?
My only option in the meeting is to make you the host. If I go into Zoom, let me see what I can get if I'm actually in Zoom in our account and see what happens.
Art, can you hear me at all?
We hear you. Yes, loud and clear.
See how long it lasts.
Yeah.
Just don't move in and out. Stay stationary.
Hard to do.
All right. We are right at 7 o'clock, and I see we've got a quorum of council. Karen, or I'll call our meeting to order. And Karen, could we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Husnick,
Here,
Councilmember Munson,
Here.
Councilmember Byström, Councilmember Valento,
Here.
and Mayor Bain.
Here. I'd like to invite everybody to join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. If you'd like to shut off your camera before you rise, you may do so at the bottom left of your Zoom tray. Dan will display the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the
the
flag
flag of the
of the
United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Council members, we have an agenda before you this evening. I will entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion from Councilmember Munson,
I'll second it.
and I have a second from Councilmember Husnick. Karen, could we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Husnick,
Aye.
Councilmember Munson,
Aye.
Councilmember Valento,
Aye.
Mayor Bain.
Aye. Agenda's approved. Next item this evening is open forum. Open forum is any stakeholder's opportunity to speak to council on any topic of their choosing. Karen, do we have any open forum participants this evening?
I don't have any, no.
All right. We'll move on, and our next item is the consent agenda. And tonight for consideration, we have consent agenda items 6A through 6J. I will entertain a motion or any changes. I'm sorry, Karen, go ahead.
Now let me back up. We did have an email that came in 2 weeks ago. I'm not sure if that individual still wants to speak during the open forum. It looks like, I think if that's her name, she's in the attendees.
Excellent.
So I would need anybody who wants to speak to raise their hand, which can be found at the bottom of your screen. There we go. So it's Christy Gov. I think I'm saying that correctly, and I'm going to move her into the meeting.
Perfect. Welcome, Christy. We're glad you're here.
Hey.
And
Hello.
the floor is yours.
Okay, sorry about that.
That's okay.
I wasn't sure how this particular format was going to work out. Okay, so yeah, hi. Thank you for giving me a few minutes tonight. My name is Christy Gove. I'm the committee chair of our YMCA Community Relations Committee of our local YMCA board. And I actually just wanted to come here tonight and talk to you guys a little bit about what the Y has been up to this past year. As everybody knows, it's been a wild year, and the Y has been serving the community through the whole thing. So just a couple data points that I wanted to share with you. When everything shut down last spring, the Y pivoted and started distributing food. And probably most of you know this, but they actually distributed 35,000 fresh and prepared meals to our community in partnership with the United Health Group and Loaves and Fishes. 3,000 plus of those meals were actually hand delivered by volunteers directly to people's doorsteps, people who couldn't get out of their homes or didn't have transportation or were high risk. An additional 60,000 pounds of fresh food was given out through drive up efforts at the Y. The Y also provided childcare for tier 1 workers. So they weren't closed during that whole time when there was nobody in the parking lot. They were actually doing distance childcare for our frontline workers. In addition, we all know the importance of the Y to our seniors. And so not wanting to leave them alone in their apartments, they actually gathered a team and called our senior members, made over 12,000 phone calls to check in with the seniors in our community. The Y has also more recently partnered on the Everything Belongs initiative, which is a partnership with the Forest Lake School District and the City of Forest Lake to try to work on initiatives that will make Forest Lake a more welcome and open community. And for teens, the popular Youth in Government program and Model UN, all of that felt like, how would they do that? How could that happen? But they've done it virtually so far with the Youth in Government, and it was a big success. So they pulled it off, even though these kids are used to going down to the Capitol and participating. They actually did it all on Zoom, and it went well. I had 2 kids in my house that participated, and they had a great experience. So I just wanted to come here as a representative from the Community Relations Committee to just kind of remind council and whoever is watching tonight that the Y is much more than a gym. It's a partner in the community, and that we care a lot about this community. And we're open again, so you can make reservations for classes, for childcare, for the pool, for the gym. You can walk in if you just want to be in the fitness area. It's extremely safe. They're spaced out. Everybody who I've talked to that's gone there has said they felt very safe. You have to wear a mask all the time, but it's nice to have it be open again. So I just really wanted to encourage everyone to support our Y. It's been tough financially at the Y, just like it has been for many, many businesses in our community. But as the Y suffered, some financial consequences from the pandemic, they really continued to serve relentlessly with and for the community of Forest Lake. So I don't have all the answers to questions, but if you guys had any thoughts or questions, happy to try to answer or take them higher up.
Christy, thanks for being here this evening. Council, any questions for Christy? I know we also get frequent updates from Councilmember Bystrom as well, so questions could go to her too. So,
Right.
Always great to see you. Glad you're here.
Yeah. Thanks, Mara. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Have a good evening.
Yeah, you too.
Council, back to our agenda this evening. We had consent agenda items for consideration 6A through 6J. Happy to entertain a motion or any changes to the consent agenda.
I'd make a motion that we consent agenda A through J.
We have a motion to approve A through J. Is there a second?
I'll second.
And a second from Councilmember Valento. Karen, could we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Husnick,
Aye.
Councilmember Munson.
Aye.
Councilmember Valento,
Aye.
Mayor Bain.
Aye. Consent agenda is approved. Our next item this evening is Resolution 02222101, anonymous donation for $100 to the Forest Lake Police Department. Chief Peterson, you want to walk us through this?
Yeah, Mayor and City Council members, good evening. What I have for you tonight is a resolution accepting a $100 donation to the police department from an anonymous donor. If the anonymous donor is watching this meeting, I just want to let them know we appreciate your generous donation, and it will be put to good use in our department with the Community Policing and Crime Prevention Unit this year.
Thank you, Chief. Council, I would move we approve with gratitude Resolution 02222101.
I'll second.
Motion and the second from Councilmember Munson. Karen, could we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Husnick,
Aye.
Councilmember Munson.
Aye.
Councilmember Valento
Aye.
and Mayor Bain.
Aye. Motion approved. The next item this evening is Resolution 02222102. I'm going to say two a lot this evening. The Centennial Plaza TIF Agreement Amendment and amended and restated. Donovan, do you want to walk us through this, please?
Yes, certainly. Thank you. What we have here is a TIF agreement. This is the second amendment for it. It's restated and amended. Tonight, Jenny Bolton from Kennedy and Graven is also with us. Karen, if you could bring her in. To answer any technical questions, but I'd like to introduce the basic gist of the agreement and what this amendment does. I'd like to share my screen to show basically what the situation is. When we have the Centennial Plaza TIF district was created to create a medical office complex. Steve Stegner, the former mayor, is the developer and owner. And you can see on your screen what was built, which is Cornerstone Plaza on Lake Street between 4th Avenue Southwest and 3rd Avenue Southwest. Built as a 3-unit commercial development, contains hair salon, I think it's a clothes retailer, and Dr. Ross, the dentist. Subsequent to its creation as a TIF district, Mr. Stegner did a common interest community platting and created 3 individual lots that you see here on the screen within each of the 3 commercial spaces. However, the original TIF agreement did not recognize this land division, basically this parcel creation. And so what the TIF amendment will do, and this is upon Mr. Stegner's request, is to actually take the new PIDs and put them in the agreement with the current owners. Dr. Ross owns one of the spaces and Mr. Stegner owns the 2 other, and then allows for the city, when those TIF payments are annually dispersed, that then 3 owners can receive those. And that is the basic outline of this. Jenny, is there anything that I spoke incorrectly there, or anything you want to add?
Donovan, I think you covered it. The main point of this second amendment is to recognize those 3 separate parcels and permit the payment of the tax increment to each of those parcel owners separately. So you might notice the format is a little bit different in this agreement. We did provide for the payment of tax increments through a tax increment revenue note that was not included in the original agreement, with the idea that each separate owner could hold that evidence of their share of the payment. So it's a little different format, but it's the same amount of tax increment, just divided 3 ways.
I have two follow-up questions. One, in absence of this agreement, what happens with those payments? In absence of the amendment, I should say.
Mayor and council members, without the amendment, there would be one recipient. The current party to the agreement would receive all of the tax increments.
Okay. And then my other question is just a clarification or confirmation that the 3 parcels are the only 3 parcels that the amendment impacts. There are other parcels as part of the district, but those are unchanged. Is that right?
Donovan, correct me if I'm wrong, but as part of the prior amendment, we cleaned up the parcels that are in the TIF district because there were certain parcels where there was not development within the time required under the TIF law. And so these are the parcels in the TIF district.
Correct. And also the parking lot is its own parcel, but it's a non-taxable entity. It's non-revenue producing entity, but it's not in the this agreement.
Okay, that makes sense and connects the dots with the previous amendments for me. Thank you. Council, I've just kind of jumped in with some questions here. What questions do you have?
You asked mine.
And our resolution this evening is on page 101 of our packet. I'm sorry, I'm giving you the wrong number. Resolution this evening is on page 104 of our packet. Happy to entertain any more questions for either Donovan or Jenny or a motion.
Mayor Bain, I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 02-22-21-02, a resolution approving and authorizing the execution of an amended and reinstated development agreement.
Second it.
Motion from Councilmember Munson and a second from Councilmember Husnick. Any further discussion on this item? Hearing none. Karen, could we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Husnick,
Aye.
Councilmember Munson,
Aye.
Councilmember Valento,
Aye.
Mayor Bain.
Aye. Motion's approved. Jenny, thank you for being here this evening.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone.
Thank you, Jenny.
Next item on our agenda this evening is C, Resolution 02-222103, Timber Ridge 2 Preliminary PUD. Donovan.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. I'd like to present the preliminary PUD application for Timber Ridge 2 apartments. The person representing this one, Karen, is Mark Lambert. And this is, you're a little familiar with this project because a couple meetings ago, the zoning map amendment for this parcel came through, and council did approve the multiple family zoning map change for this parcel to be consistent with the comprehensive plan. And this project, I'll share my screen to kind of give the overview of it, is located off of do you see the map on your screen?
We do.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's located just south of Menards on a 18.5 acre parcel. Let me coming closer here. This is just directly north of the Timber Ridge 1 building, and located across from the custom mold design building, with wetlands in the north and the single family residential neighborhood on the west and a little bit on the south. What's unique about this property also is the amount of wetlands, as represented by the yellow data layer you can see there, being the approximate boundaries of those wetlands. And approximately there's about 8 acres of it, which are high ground. And what's being proposed is 106 units, multiple family housing within 2 buildings. Here you see the one single access from Everton, and the building here is outlined with the very colorful landscaping. And here a 53 unit 4-story building, and then also a 53 unit 4-story building here. With the parking in the middle, the lighter colored areas are the garage spaces for detached parking with no parking underneath the buildings. And due to the configuration of the wetlands, there is parking that's coming off here on this, the upland lobe over here, as well as kind of a causeway that's going to be created through a wetland fill application, which is part of this proposal. Also, at the rear end of this is a storage building. I believe it's, I think, 1,800 square feet in size, meeting the district standards for height and area, and has similar material as with the buildings. Something that's unique about this that it has resulted in some conversations both with Planning Commission and residents, and also with Washington County, is that this property is going to be on the reconstructed Everton Avenue. And with the wider right-of-way, there's been discussions between Mr. Lambert and the county on what that will look like, on how much the right-of-way, how much right-of-way is needed. And any approvals for the city is dependent on getting those permits from the county for that access, because since Everton is a county road. This plan you see here was recommended for approval by the Planning Commission in a split vote. I believe much of the concern related to the PUD flexibilities that are sought, and with one member, believing that there's not stated public amenities that the city is receiving in exchange for the PUD flexibilities that are sought. Those PUD flexibilities are the increase in 1-bedroom units. That's proposed about 56% 1-bedroom units. The code has a limit of 20% of 1-bedroom units for apartment buildings, and that's actually something that in the last 3 or 4 years, in these PUD applications, that the council and staff have taken, I think, a more flexible approach, and noting that the last 4 buildings, Lighthouse Lofts, Arbor Ridge, and the 2 Gateway Green apartment buildings, all have had those 1-bedroom units in the 40% range, a little more in Timber Ridge 1. So this one doesn't, have a greater amount, greater percentage, but it's also, still in line with the others, and also seems to represent what the demographic change is for the area and what the market demand is for usually smaller households, more units. And then there's a slight height request for 50-foot rather than 45-foot building height, as well as flexibility sought with the number of garage units. This is consistent with the Timber Ridge and Arbor Ridge buildings as well, other Summit property buildings owned by Mr. Lambert. And here there are 48 spaces shy of the 106 that the zoning code would require otherwise. Also, there's desire for smaller studio units, less than 600 square feet, and there's 10 of those that are, I believe, 566 is the smallest of those. So those are the flexibilities sought, and the Planning Commission conversation with the members who voted to deny or to not recommend approval focus on that, and perhaps affordable housing should be provided in exchange. And my take on this is that, in some sense, the zoning code does require, if you have more than one building on a site, that you need to come in with the PUD application. So in making the choice, Mr. Lambert obviously could do one building, but he chose two. But the city is saying that we need to you need to do the PUD with two buildings, and the number of flexibilities sought originally, I believe, were 10, and involved related to the proximity of parking to those main entrances, a larger dumpster enclosure size, a larger storage building, that sort of thing. So now we're down to 4, and this one, does have a staff recommendation of approval. There is, since it's an all private site, the city engineer has some, has a list some concerns to be addressed, but they're quietly diminished with the second submittal, the one that you're reviewing here. And I do have a concern about some of the tree perimeter landscaping on the north side. There's a couple places where there isn't, there is not, the required landscaping. I'll just give you a little more view of what was submitted as far as just the appearance of the building here. So you have, the kind of, similar colorings with the building, and appearance pretty similar to Timber Ridge 1, which I thought I had maybe I don't have an image down here to refresh your memories on that one. This is, with conditions related to proper, watershed district permitting, the watershed replacement, Washington County permitting, addressing city engineers' concerns, fire chief's concerns, which the parking lot has been designed to accommodate, the largest fire truck, navigating up to the front of the buildings, as well as properly placed fire hydrants. It is a staff recommendation to approve resolution 222-2103 to approve the preliminary PUD, reminding you that, of course, final PUD does constitute the final city approval for this project, and of course, pending those other approvals. With that, I'm happy to take any questions from City Council.
Thank you, Donovan. I know we've got Mr. Lambert here as well. Maybe Council, let's take some initial questions from for Donovan, if you have any initial questions, and then we can hear from Mr. Lambert and then bring conversation back to Council. Any initial questions for Donovan? Donovan, I wanted some clarification on, sorry, Councilmember Husnick, did you have a question?
One, and I should know the answer, but how much flexibility do we have between the preliminary?
What's final is final. I mean, I think if you have concerns, certainly we'd like to get them focused on, and perhaps, so they can be addressed in a final PUD submittal. However, each of them is a vote. Each of them, they do, can be used to help improve the project if that's something that, council wants to, something else council wants to see.
I don't have any real concerns right now. I'm just trying to figure out, just how much.
Councilmember Husnick, you're cutting out.
Better now?
It's in and out.
And I think Pete wants to say something as well.
I think I got my question answered.
Okay. Pete, go ahead.
Your Honor, Councilmember Husnick, don't think of a preliminary PUD as a step in a negotiation. This project has to be one that you support as it appears before you now to approve it. You don't approve it just to keep it moving along. The reasons to deny a final PUD when you've Granted, the preliminary PUD are something I'm not going to get into the weeds on tonight, but you should treat this like this is the project. Would we approve this or not?
Well, that answers my question. I thank you.
Thank you for that clarification, Pete. I do have a question. I wanted some confirmation on parking. So I appreciate on Donovan, your memo when you talk about the enclosed parking and what's been allowed as a flexibility for reduced number of enclosed spaces. I want to make sure though that where is the project as it relates to total parking, given the mix of 3-bedroom, 2-bedroom, 1-bedroom units?
Certainly. So the code requires that there be basically 2.1 parking spaces per unit. I think we're at that total. I think we're at that total supply. Mark, correct me if I'm wrong. So the total number is meets code. It's simply the enclosed spaces that in which PUD flexibility is sought.
And that number doesn't, that total number isn't reduced in any way to reflect the greater percentage of 1-bedroom units. It's a number based on units.
It's just based on units, and that's one way I think it's worked. Is that there I believe 8 3-bedroom unit. No, is that 8 3-bedroom units? And I forget the breakdown is 4-2, but but I think that has helped, and that's that's what we've seen with the other buildings that have been more recently permitted within the city.
And then the flexibility that we're giving here as a percentage of those different units, is it a consistent flexibility with what we've done with other projects where we have seen some success? Or is this a little off track from what we've done with flexibility related specifically to the enclosed parking spaces?
Okay, it's been something. I think this is part of Mr. Lambert's business model. So we've seen these with the other 2 buildings that he has built. There was in Lighthouse Lofts, I believe there's also some flexibility with that. I can't remember. It's having 102 units. I really don't believe there's 102 underground units there beneath the building. But it does. In some ways, I go back to what's the practical implication of it, and it does seem like these buildings are getting leased up that renters aren't demanding they need those spaces, and I'm not sure if they're the units are priced they're, I guess it's separate from the actual unit, but I haven't seen a practical difficulty with this sort of flexing on the enclosed versus unenclosed spaces.
And I guess my larger concern is just that we were meeting the overall requirement. And so as long as we are meeting that overall requirement, then I kind of see it as a kind of a market determinant, but whether somebody wants that extra space, that enclosed space or not. Other questions that council might have this evening? Not seeing any immediately. Mr. Lambert, glad to have you here tonight. Would you like anything you'd like to say to council?
Absolutely. Glad to be here, Mayor, council, members of the council. Donovan, if you could share your screen. I love that top composite exhibit. I think it's just a good frame of reference for everybody to look at. If I can take just a couple of minutes and put a little plug in, I'd appreciate that opportunity. We have been very fortunate to be in Forest Lake for 3 buildings. We obviously did the Arbor Ridge building. We did our Timber Ridge building, which opened 2 years ago, and we're presented with this opportunity. Donovan, can you scroll down a little bit farther so we can get the Timber Ridge 1 building in there as well? Or zoom in, whichever you prefer. Zoom out, zoom in. Up the other way, I guess. Donovan, can you go the other way? I'm sorry. Zoom out then. Sorry, members. Perfect.
Like that? Okay.
There you go. What I just wanted to highlight for everybody is we came with Timber Ridge, not necessarily intending to have a multi-building development, but the site here presented itself almost 3 years ago, and it took about a year for the seller and I to reach agreement on terms. And what I think is so unique and so terrific about what we're doing is we really do have a very large wetland basin that either can be looked at as a deterrent or a detriment or a positive attribute. And I really have to compliment our team, the architects, the designers, for finding a plan that fits so well within what we've been given. It's an 18-acre site, which on the face of it seems huge, but obviously when you start working with the delineation lines, none of them are square. Everything kind of comes at an angle. And frankly, it just makes it difficult to put together an overall site. That's why we ended up with two buildings. One building would have simply went across the entire site and prevented us from getting to the 2-acre parcel to the northwest. Donovan, if you can scroll down just a little bit, that would be great. Oh, I'm sorry, scroll up, there you go. So by allowing us to do the two buildings, we're able to access through the heart of the site to get to that 2-acre lobe to the northwest. I don't know how much backstory you guys get, but we actually at one point had parking within about 35 feet of the neighbors with that storage building. That was a great source of consternation for them. We tabled the motion at the Planning Commission, went back and really took a good hard look at what we could do. And we reduced our unit counts from 120 down to 106. And by reducing those 14 units at that parking ratio, that took 30 parking spaces off the site. And so with the reduction of the 30 parking spaces, we were able to pull our parking closer to the building to be within the 200 feet. We still have a storage building because frankly, in our business, we do have things we store, but we've really allowed ourselves to maintain a good buffer with the neighbors. And I think they've been pretty satisfied. We've added a fair amount of trees for additional screening as well. So, we've obviously learned what we have with the site, and I think we've done a great job. The other challenge we had is Washington County, and we all love Washington County. I think they do a terrific job, but about 80% through our design process, they announced to us that they wanted to have an additional 50 feet of my frontage in order to build an expanded Everton. And since we're not platting, we had no obligation to do that. So it became kind of a push-pull. We've ultimately settled on an 18-foot easement in addition to the right-of-way. The county seems at peace with that. We have some trees shown in there. I think we'll ultimately try to coordinate our construction with county construction, but we feel pretty positive about being able to accommodate a wider Everton and still accommodate the site plan that we did. The other thing I'd tell you is if you look down, if you could scroll down a little bit, we have our what the old owner called Butterfly Island. What a unique little 1-acre piece. If you've had a chance to walk the site, we frankly look at that as being a nice site amenity. He went ahead, Mr. Newkirk installed that white footbridge that you see there. We intend to maintain that as access to the building. And I did talk to Bowser the other day, and they're okay with us putting a similar footbridge down to Timber Ridge. So while we're not trying to, call it a trail system or advertise it as a trail system, I think the ability to kind of have a neat little island down there that has butterfly-friendly vegetation is something that's pretty exciting to us. So on the densities questions, a couple of members of the Planning Commission were concerned that we didn't have enough 3-bedroom units, that we should have more 3-bedroom units. And I guess my reaction to that is we have been working very hard on our 3 buildings and have kind of found what we think is a good balance with our units. And so this is one where we're adding some 3 bedrooms. We haven't had it before. We've had 8 versus none before. We are adding some studios. We haven't had that product before. It's a smaller unit, but a way to kind of address the approachability of cost issues. So I guess it's always a challenge trying to respond to costs and pricing, but I would suggest to you that we've got a pretty good balance. I think we're well parked. We've had good luck with that same ratio in our other buildings. And frankly, I'm just excited. I think this will be a nice addition to our existing building and a very nice addition to the city.
Thank you, Mr. Lambert. Bring the conversation back to council. Council, happy to entertain any questions you might have or a motion if anyone is ready. Councilmember Husnick.
Hear me or no? Okay,
Yes, yep.
okay, I'll try not to mess it up. I'm prepared to make a motion that we approve 0222-2. And
Councilmember Husnick, you are breaking up. I'm going to repeat what I think you said just to confirm that I'm reading your lips properly. I believe you're making a motion to approve resolution 02222103. You just give a quick thumbs up if that's correct. All right, we've got a motion from Councilmember Husnick. Is there a second?
A second.
We have a second from Councilmember Munson. Any discussion on this item? All right, not hearing any. Karen, could we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Husnick,
aye.
Councilmember Munson,
Aye.
Councilmember Valento,
Aye.
Mayor Bain.
Aye, motion's approved. Thank you for being here tonight, Mr. Lambert. Look forward to seeing you next time.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
All right, Council, our next item on our agenda this evening is item 7D, Ordinance 702, Motor Vehicle Parts Sales Zoning Text Amendment. Donovan.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. I'd like to present a zoning text amendment. This one is simply, is text related, and I'm going to show a bit of the text to kind of help you walk you through that. I also let you know that there actually is an applicant here, and there are a few people who are I recognize in the participants list who, may want to speak. Karen, if you want to let them in, if they raise their hands, to either answer questions or provide some comment. And the applicant is an individual who wants to bring a Batteries Plus franchise to Forest Lake, onto South Lake Street. And in this case, when I was first approached with this, I realized that even though most of the batteries that, the vast majority of the batteries that are replaced at a Batteries Plus are non-auto related. They do install, batteries, car batteries. And there has, in 2010, council did not allow any new minor auto parts repair within this MU2 zoning district. So with that as a challenge, we said, okay, what can we do to, basically amend the zoning code to allow this retailer into City of Forest Lake. And I also had addressed, talked to a couple of, zoning staff in Eagan and Maple Grove to ask them of their experience, and they've had no problem with Batteries Plus. And basically they don't have a vehicle bay that customers bring their cars into. They, if needed, they replace the battery in the parking lot. Tell me if I'm wrong, Shane, on that one. But and this would also be, I'm sorry?
Nope, that's fine. That's
fine.
correct.
Okay. Well, also this relates to, I also realized that, this is only a few doors down from O'Reilly's, and, if there is an ability to do these minor repairs that one might do by buying auto parts in a store, like wiper blades, for instance. I was doing that in City Hall parking lot today, and this happens with, lights and other minor things, that, this actually is, I think, a needed change within the zoning. It has a broader use. So I'd like to introduce these changes that I worked on with Amanda and Pete, and we actually found another kind of exclusion within the zoning code. Actually, we're legalizing more than we thought with this change. So first of all, I want to there is just a basic motor vehicle parts, definition within the zoning code. Maybe it's not going to work well. And basically, we're changing it to motor vehicle parts sales. And then allowing this as a use within this MU2, the zoning district. Here, this is the MU2 here, motor vehicle part sales. And as an accessory use, allowing that on-site removal installation of minor motor vehicle parts, including batteries, exterior vehicle lights, windshield blades, and those other parts or installations that are incremental to a retail sale, are not time intensive, do not cause obnoxious noise or odor, and do not require lifting any part of the vehicle or removing doors or fenders. Also, to actually include sales in the B2 and B3, the highway business, and then that limited industrial business district, so that it more clearly states that the motor vehicle part sales is allowed in those areas. Also, this does legalize the repair shops within this MU2, basically the Highway 61 commercial district, in order to, actually sell parts that they install. So there's some of the technical pieces that we found with this change. The first being that it could allow a retailer to come into the city, as well as do a little, just correct an omission from our 2010 era zoning code. And the Planning Commission did recommend approval of this. And we did hold a public hearing, and no big concerns were raised. And so it's a staff recommendation for council to approve zoning ordinance number 702 in your packet to affect these changes from the zoning code related to motor vehicle part sales. With that, I'm happy to take any questions from council.
Thank you, Donovan. And we do have representatives from Batteries Plus here tonight. Maybe let's take some initial questions from council if there are any, and then happy to hear from you if you have any further comments you'd like council to consider. Council, any initial questions for Donovan on this zoning text amendment? Not seeing any. I would then maybe open it up to representatives from Batteries Plus if there's anything you'd like us to consider this evening. Happy to hear it.
Hello, everybody. My name is Shane Ebertowski. This is my wife, Jen.
Hello.
And we are the ones that are hoping to open up Batteries Plus in Forest Lake. We're hoping to purchase the 967 Lake Street building. And we're really excited to come into the town. And then when we heard that possibly it wasn't going to happen, I was my conversation with Donovan, I'm sure I was kind of shell shocked a little bit because I'm very new to this. This will be our first business that we'll be opening. But luckily Donovan was so gracious to help us work through this. What I see is a win-win for both sides. We're super excited to be with Forest Lake. And I think this is one of the areas that Batteries Plus actually said would make a great facility for us. So I just want to say thank you to everybody for considering it. Special thanks to Donovan for working so hard to find a way to make this happen for us. So thank you.
Thank you for that. Council, questions that you may have, or also happy to entertain a motion. Ordinance 702 is on page 180 of your packet this evening.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve ordinance number 702, a motor vehicle part sale zoning text amendment.
A motion, is there a second? I'll second that. We have a motion and I've got a motion and a second. And any further discussion? Happy to support this tonight. It makes I like Donovan's classification of this as some cleanup. And sometimes there's unintended exclusions in our text, and happy to support something that allows us to be just common sense things I think that should be in a retail district. So happy to support it this evening. All right, we have a motion and a second. Karen, could we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Husnick,
Aye.
Councilmember Munson,
Aye.
Councilmember Valento,
Aye.
and Mayor Bain.
Aye. Motion's approved. Thank you for being here this evening. Good luck with your project.
Thank you.
All right. Our next item this evening is the continuing with the Donovan Show. 7E is 6825 North Shore Trail Minor Subdivision.
Okay, Mayor, members of council, I'd like to present a minor subdivision, a lot split for 6825 North Shore Trail. I will bring us to the map there. And this is an existing parcel that, just is wide enough to allow for a lot split. The zoning in the single family zoning district with shoreland overlay does allow, has a minimum requirement of 100 feet wide and 25,000 square feet on an area that's served by public sewer. Here it's the center lot. It's the one that's still wide. If you can see the aerial there. Is that yes?
Yes.
The map. This cabin has been since demolished, so it's the lot is currently vacant. There are some trees on the site, and what is proposed is basically running a lot line right down the middle. Is shown here in the survey, and what the city is requiring as a condition of approval, as we often do in these cases, is the drainage utility easements to allow for any kind of work on the drainage along the side and front property lines, and also in the new proposed proposed property line. What is something unique to this property is the public sewer trunk line that runs across it, where there currently is a pretty narrow easement, and the city is requiring a 30-foot wide easement to allow for maintenance and work within that, on that trunk line. Also, with this property, there's a small bit of encroachment within the proposed drainage utility easement of pavers up here in the top right of one of the parcels. And so what the city is requiring is actually an encroachment agreement, since those pavers are still there. And the applicant has agreed to this in order to allow that if there was any sort of work within there, that the city wouldn't be responsible for any damage to those pavers. And these are a single family zoning, currently vacant parcels, and so what we expect to see here would be the lot sold and single single family homes put on them, and this is shoreline overlay, so there's a certain maximum percentage of impervious that would have to be met for these for any future building permits. So before you is, and this did receive recommendation of approval from the Planning Commission. A public hearing was held, and we did not hear any any concerns expressed. James Scaramuzzo is the applicant, and he is here tonight, I believe, in the participant room. So tonight before you, you have a minor subdivision agreement, a easement agreement, and encroachment agreement for council consideration. And the staff recommendation is approval of these agreements.
Thank you, Donovan. Let's hear initial questions from council, and then happy to open it up to the applicant if there is any comments that Mr. Scaramuzzo would like to make. So initially, any questions of Donovan? and Donovan, I just have a logistics. Are you looking for 3 separate motions tonight, or are we able to, in one motion, approve the minor subdivision?
I think I'd feel comfortable if Pete would provide some guidance with that, because usually these other agreements are actually thrown as a consent agenda. And we actually don't have much discussion around them, but we wanted to basically, give you a complete package.
Understood. Pete, with your preference?
Your Honor, members of council, because these are intertwined and interdependent, I believe these should be done as one motion. And if council has a concern about any one of the 3, that would impact whether or not any of this goes forward.
Thank you. Council, any questions that you may have of Donovan? Not seeing any initially, I'd open it up to our applicant, Mr. Scaramuzo. Welcome, glad you're here. Just want to give you an opportunity if you had anything you wanted council to consider this evening.
Thank you for the opportunity. Nothing really, it should be straightforward, and thank you.
You're welcome, glad you're here. I don't have any questions on this one. This one seems pretty straightforward. I appreciate that we've got the easement in place, pretty standard. And so with that, I would motion that we approve the, of course, I just lost it. I'm sorry. Hold on. I would approve that I motion that we approve the minor subdivision at 6825 North Shore Trail North. We have a motion and a second from Councilmember Husnick. Any discussion on it? Pete, go ahead.
Your Honor, members of council, can we just clarify that the motion to approve the minor subdivision is to approve the minor subdivision agreement, the easement agreement, and the encroachment agreement?
Oh, the motion is to approve all 3, correct? Thank you.
Second also.
And second, any discussion on this? Not seeing any. Karen, could we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Husnick,
Aye.
Councilmember Munson, Councilmember Valento,
Aye.
and Mayor Bain.
Aye, and motion's approved. Good luck with your project. Thank you for being here. Our next item on our agenda this evening is Resolution 02222104, which is the Headwaters Village 3rd Edition preliminary plat, final plat.
Thank you. Mayor, members of council, I'd like to present the preliminary and final plat applications for Headwaters Village 3. This is located within the Headwaters Village area. It is, which is, meant to be the commercial area for the Headwaters area. The properties in question, subject properties are just south of the Transit Center and the Hardwood Creek Service Center. And one of the properties has Forest Lake Veterinary Hospital on it. And the other one is owned by Susan Brenson. And then the other property is owned by Len Pratt. What is sought is an expansion of the vet property 75 feet to the south, and then with a line that runs to Headwaters Parkway. This is to provide for some future expansion of for the vet. And if you recall, or maybe if you knew that the vet on Broadway Avenue also recently expanded. So it seems that the business has been good for vets. And with there's no proposal with this. This is simply a platting. And the reason it's a platting versus a basic lot line adjustment is that one of these properties is Outlot A of Headwaters Village 2nd Edition. Since it's an outlot, and as it's defined within the zoning code, it doesn't really have equal status as the vet lot. Shown here is Lot 1, Block 1. And so, as you can see, here's the existing line and here's the expanded line. actually the property needs to be replatted, and that's what brings us here. And this is something that we did have the Planning Commission did review and did recommend approval. We held a Planning Commission for that, noticed it for the preliminary approval. And final plat applications do not come back to the Planning Commission, and so with this and with it, and normally this does not occur since the preliminary and final plat applications involve lots of details. With this level of simplicity, I thought it proper to simply, put these on the same agenda and, actually have that one resolution, 02222104, serve as the potential, approving document for both these. So basically, it's a glorified lot line adjustment and bring it to council for their consideration because of this technicality. With that, I'm happy to take any questions from council.
Thank you, Donovan. Did you have any applicant participants that are here tonight on this topic?
I don't see them listed.
Just,
I
wanted to be
provided
consistent.
Yeah, right. No, I looked before and then I did a quick look at the code, and for some of these applications, it's required that the applicant be here. I don't see that is the case here. Though of course, if I'm wrong, Pete will tell me. But no, I don't believe we have an applicant present.
Okay. And just a clarification on why is this, so you are bundling together what is typically a two-step process, and we're doing both preliminary and final tonight just because of the nature of the adjustment. Is that a proper classification?
Yeah, the simplicity of it. There's really no specified time, interval between the preliminary and final plat applications. So, and because we're looking at one line, one property line change. I thought that'd be appropriate.
Thank you for clarifying. Pete, go ahead.
Your Honor, members of council, I would just amplify that this is a relatively common procedure for simple adjustments to a plat when the applicant has all their ducks in a row to get it all done at once.
Thank you for that clarification. Open it up to council. Any questions for Donovan on this one? Otherwise, happy to entertain a motion, and the resolution is on page 224 of our packet. Sam, go ahead.
Mara, if you can hear me.
Mm-hmm.
Make a motion that we approve resolution 022221-04. Resolution approving the preliminary and final plat, Waters Village 30.
We have a motion from Councilmember Husnick. Is there a second?
I'll second.
And second from Councilmember Valento. Any further discussion this evening? Hearing none. Karen, could we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Husnick.
Aye.
Councilmember Munson.
Aye.
Councilmember Valento.
Aye.
Mayor Bain.
Aye. Motion approved. All right, we are going to move on to item 7G, which is our tobacco and liquor and tobacco compliance failures. We have public hearings set up for each one of these, and just maybe to orientate process on this. And Karen and Pete, please correct me if I'm wrong, but you are looking for council to take individual action on each one of these this evening. Is that right?
Correct.
And so we will tee up. We'll have staff introduce. We'll do each one of these separately. We'll have staff introduce introduce the compliance failure in question. We will open it up open up the public hearing, and then bring it back to council for action, and then we will move on to the next one. And just order of tonight's agenda: American Legion Post 225 is first, followed by Famous Dave's Barbecue Shack, followed by Pizza Hut, followed by Liquor Works liquor license, followed by Liquor Works tobacco license, also followed by Holiday Station Store number 311, and followed by Highway 61 Stop and Go. A quick administrative note: we did have a public hearing on this topic previously, And so wanted to bring that reference in. And for those that are here for the public hearing, happy to hear any testimony you might want to provide us tonight. Also, if you have spoke previously at that previous public hearing and want to just rely on that, that is fine as well. But want to give anybody an opportunity that would like to speak in the public hearing an opportunity to do so. Any questions before we get started on process? And Karen is bringing all of our panelists into the meeting. And with that, let's start with our first one, which is the American Legion Post 225. Karen, do you want to walk us through this one?
Yeah, I'll back up. There are two types of compliance check failures that we're hearing tonight. One of them is on liquor compliance check failures, and the other is on tobacco compliance check failures. So the first one will be in your notes or in your packet. It provides some background. It also provides some information on our city code. There's also some information indicating there's each compliance check and then the affidavits of service that everybody received, as well as the final document that I submitted, which is the affidavit of publication in the Forest Lake Times. So those are all the documents that you are seeing in your packet. We'll go back to American Legion Post 225. The first violation that they had was on April 22nd, 2019. The second compliance check and violation was on January 13th, 2020. So this comes forward now with the alcohol compliance failures. The council can take a look. The minimum penalty on this with a second violation within a 24-month period is $1,000 fine and a 1-day suspension. Our code prescribes that as a minimum penalty, and council doesn't have the option to reduce this minimum penalty, but you have the option to stay the penalty with the condition that another violation does not happen within a set period of time. Meaning if the licensees were to violate the terms of the license again within a certain period of time, then that current penalty could be imposed. So the first one is the American Legion. Again, their violation. First violation was 4/22/19. Second violation was on January 13th, 2020. Chief Peterson has agreed to offer any commentary on the specifics of a compliance check and how that's conducted, if council has any questions about that. And I'm sure if there's any other legal questions, our attorneys will be able to answer those kinds of questions as well.
And a quick point of clarification, we can stay the penalty if there's no violation within what period?
Within, well, I believe the next violation, it would again fall within a 24-month period according to our code.
Thank you. And one other question for either you or Pete. The minimum penalty is $1,000 or a 1-day suspension. Are we able to, I appreciate that we are not able to reduce the penalty. And I also assume that we are not able to uncouple the fine from the suspension. Is that those are bound together in our code? Is that in that the penalty has to have those two things in place?
Your Honor,
is that
right.
Thank you.
Your Honor, members of council, it's both. It's the fine and the suspension are the minimums your code prescribes. If you choose to suspend the application of the penalty, how long you choose to suspend it is within your discretion.
How long we choose to suspend the license as the penalty? Is that?
I'm sorry, how long you choose to stay the penalty is within your discretion. You could tell them they have to keep their noses clean for 6 months, or you could tell them they have to keep their noses clean for 2 years. How long are you willing to make sure that it's not hanging over?
Thank you. those were my technical questions as we get started here. I'm happy to pause and see if there's any other kind of questions of process or questions around our code that council may have before we open up the public hearing for the American Legion. Not seeing any questions. And again, the follow up that this is a second public hearing. We have already held a round of public hearings on this topic, but want to open up the second public hearing for the American Legion. We'll open that up now. And if there's anyone that would like to speak on this topic, please feel free to do so.
Thank you, council members. This is Vicki Petrie, the commander of the American Legion. We did speak on January 25th and brought up the different things that we had taken when we found out about the second violation. So I have brought that all up where we make sure that we meet with our employees every month. They're all MLBA server trained. We hired a new bar manager when we opened again in June 1st. And that bar manager is doing a phenomenal job making sure that everybody is trained, that everybody has their Safe Surf or their MLBA training. She's been doing an excellent job as far as that goes with all the servers. She stays on top of them, you know, bartenders, servers, and all the staff, any volunteers that actually work there. You know, we strive to comply with all state, county, and city rules. We try to instill that in all our employees we hire, as they are a direct reflection of the American Legion. So we feel this past year has been a struggle, as we all know, and I think this is, you know, whatever the council recommends, you know, we stand by your decision. I have my first vice commander, Paul Siebert, on. I don't know if he has anything else he wants to say.
I'll just go along with Vicki that we've tried to do our best in complying with all the everything coming up, and we have hired a new manager, and it has been a struggle in the last year, and whatever penalties are applied, we're willing to go along with them and make it better. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you for being here. Is there anybody else that would like to speak on this matter? Not seeing any, I will close the public hearing and bring the topic back to council. Council consideration of penalty is now on the agenda. I guess I'll maybe kick off our conversation here. You know, in the past on these types of violations, I have argued hard that our code needs to be stronger, and especially where we've got situations where we've got repeat violations within a short period of time. In the past, I've sponsored and have been a proponent of us increasing those violations and allowing for license suspension and increased fines. This one's challenging for me because we're in COVID and everyone is to do a license suspension at this time just feels extra punitive, more so than it would have in prior years. And so I'm struggling a little bit with the right what the right penalty is. I guess I would like us to consider, since we aren't able to reduce our minimum, and our minimum is $1,000 in a one-day license suspension, because that license suspension is a component of that penalty, I guess I would encourage us to consider a one-year stay, that if they are passing compliance checks within this next year, then we stay the penalty, but then a failure within a one-year period would trigger that penalty. That gets us a little further beyond COVID and the current struggle. Doing a license suspension of one day just feels, again, extra punitive in COVID times, but I'm open to your thoughts as well.
Mayor Bain, I too voted to increase our fines and our penalties. Well, for our tobacco, we haven't looked at our liquor yet, but after this year of COVID, I would have to support your to stay the penalty for a year. I just can't, in good faith, put that on someone right now.
Councilmember Husnick.
If you can hear me, Mara, cut me off.
Yeah.
Let me know right away, okay? You know, I certainly would agree with that, but I want to speak for all the folks that have an issue here, because we don't want to pick on one been a struggle for everybody here. And nobody intends to do this stuff. Do they make a mistake? Yes. But nobody's intentionally selling booze to them. And so I think want to look at these penalties, and I think the penalties are in place for the right reason, and the amounts are the right reason. But I do agree with that idea of staying with penalties. And I want to speak.
But we're losing you now, Councilmember Husnick.
I'll try it one more time. I want to speak for all the business here at the same time, basically, without hearing their public input, because they're all kind of in the same boat. The other thing too I wanted to mention is that, I was reading through some of the reports, non-compliant reports that the police department did, and they're rightfully doing their job. But the person they sent in there, I believe, was 20 years old. Now that still makes them illegal. It's not a legal sale. However, maybe we should start thinking about using somebody that's 17 or 18. Make it a little bit more obvious. That's just a couple of comments on that.
Thank you, Councilmember Husnick. And Pete, I believe you had your hand up. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor, members of council. The idea of wanting to be consistent with the violators, what to the extent their circumstances are similar, is a worthy sentiment. We have to be very careful not to prejudge the applicants to come until we've heard from them. So we can't talk about all of them at once.
Sorry about that. I'll just repeat my comments. That's all.
Mayor Bain, can I clarify what I said just for record? One of the reasons why I'm supporting this is because our restaurants were shut down, our servers were out of work. That doesn't necessarily mean Pete said that I feel that for all of them, not all businesses were shut down.
Understood. Councilmember Valento, I think you had your hand up.
I just wanted to echo what you were saying, Mayor Bain, in that we all know that this last year has been really hard on businesses, and to not categorize, like Pete said, everyone, but to take into consideration the businesses that have had a difficult time. And this is my first year, so I haven't had previous encounters with violations before. But that I do think that this day would be certainly appropriate in these times.
So with that, I would motion in regards to the American Legion Post 225 that we, Karen, go ahead.
I do have a question about the enforcement piece of this, and Pete or Amanda can jump in. What our code prescribes is the minimum penalty. You don't have the option of reducing that under our code. The language in here says that council has the option to stay the penalty with the condition that another violation does not happen within a set period of time. In this case, you're saying within the next year, within 1 year. And then the next piece of this language says if the licensee were to violate the terms of the license again within that time period, the current penalty plus the penalty for a third violation would be imposed. And I was going to look up what the third violation is. I don't have it pulled up here off the top of my head. I think that it's a $2,000 fine and a 3-day suspension for alcohol, but I'd have to dig it up and look, and maybe Pete knows or Amanda knows off the top of their head. But it would be not just this penalty, but the third violate. Now we're imposing for a third violation. The penalty on that would also be imposed at that time.
I believe you.
Oh, I was gonna say I have it in front of me, and it is the $2,000 and the 3-day suspension.
And is that an automatic? Is that penalized, assessed automatically as an administrative action, or does that come back to council for further consideration if there were a third penalty?
Your Honor, members of council, the violator would have the same due process rights to a public the third violation, and upon proof of that third violation, both penalties would come down.
So I'm going to attempt a motion here, and please help make sure we get this right. So I motion that we assess the minimum penalty, but stay that penalty if there are no further violations within the next year.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second, and I have some nodding from Pete and Karen. Are you comfortable with that language?
I am. If legal is comfortable with that, then I am. So that would be until February 22nd, 2022.
Perfectly clear, Your Honor.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this item? Hearing none. Karen, could we have a roll call vote?
I'm sorry, who seconded?
Councilmember Husnick.
Nick?
Oh, it was Kelly.
I'm sorry,
Kelly.
Councilmember Munson.
Sorry. I'm recording and okay. Sorry about that. Councilmember Husnick.
Aye.
Councilmember Munson.
Aye.
Councilmember Valento
Aye.
and Mayor Bain.
Aye. Motion passes. And members of the American Legion, thank you for being here this evening.
Thank you very much.
Our next item on the agenda is Famous Dave's Barbecue Shack liquor license. And this is a beer, wine on sale and Sunday license. Karen?
Correct. And so their first violation was on April 22nd, 2019, where there was a compliance check failure. And the second one was on January 13th, 2020, again with a compliance check failure. Same penalties would apply here that council could, same penalties that council could apply here.
Thank you, Karen. Any questions of Karen before we open the public hearing? Hearing none. With that, I'll open up the public hearing for Famous Dave's. If there's anybody that would like to speak, please do so.
Yeah, I'm general manager of the Famous Dave's, and I mean, we're willing to accept what the council comes to. We do take this very, very seriously, whether or not it is, COVID or not. I mean, these types of violations are, we can consider them obviously unacceptable within our business, and it is a part of our training program as far as IDing people and checking their IDs and everything else. So, and we have really honed in on that even during COVID. Now it's kind of easy because everybody wears a mask, so you can, everybody gets carded. So, but we do take it very serious, and I think that's the way, I get it, and I don't, maybe I'm not helping myself, but I feel as though, DUIs are up and everything else during COVID, and this is very serious. So whether it is COVID or not, I don't think that should be an excuse, but we're willing to accept what the council comes up with. We have gone to extreme training though of our employees, and they are very well aware of the alcohol serving policies. So.
Anybody else to speak for the Famous Dave's public hearing this evening?
No, I'm the only one. So.
Seeing none, thank you for being here this evening. We'll bring conversation back to council and council for your consideration. Councilmember Husnick.
Mara, I want to repeat my little speech before, because Famous Dave's are really about in the same situation as the, so I would certainly support, the possibility of staying there. They're fine also. Period of 1 year.
With council, go ahead, Karen.
Do we need to close the public hearing at this point?
I'm sorry. And yes, thank you. We'll close the public hearing and bring conversation back to council. With that, I would motion that we execute the minimum penalty of $1,000 and a 1-day suspension. However, put in a stay for a 1-year period if there's no further violations.
I'll second it, Mara.
We have a motion and a second from Councilmember Husnick. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Karen, could we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Husnick.
Aye.
Councilmember Munson.
Aye.
Councilmember Valento.
Aye.
and Mayor Bain.
Aye. Motion approved. Thank you for being here, Mr. Gray. Our next item this evening is Pizza Hut liquor license, also a beer wine on sale and Sunday license. Karen?
That is correct. Again, their first violation was in April, April 22nd, 2019. There was a compliance check conducted, and there was a failure on that. And then the second one was January 13th, 2020. Again, a compliance check was conducted and a failure on the second one.
Thank you, Karen. Council, any questions of Karen before we open up the public hearing? Seeing none, I'll open up the public hearing for the Pizza Hut. And is there anybody that would like to speak on the Pizza Hut penalty? I'm not seeing anyone come forward. Karen, are you seeing anyone on your side?
I'm not, and I did not.
Oh, I'm trying to get on there. Can you hear me?
We hear you. Welcome.
Sorry, I can't get my video to play for some reason, so.
That's all right. We hear you well.
Yeah, no, yeah, we've definitely, we're taking precautions now. We've got new managers in play. We're still following the protocol with we have the Serve Safe, and then they do the liquor Serve Safe. Also, we have our learning zone that actually has a whole course training for alcohol now. And then we do daily and weekly meetings now. And basically, as we hire somebody, that's the first thing they do is watch the videos and train in that. So we have lost a few of our wait staff because we had to close down, reopen, close down. And we actually hadn't been serving alcohol for the past probably month and a half just because there wasn't enough people. So I actually had to throw the alcohol out, and then just hadn't gotten any till I figured I'd talk to you guys and kind of get everything going. And, you know, we'll just keep following with the protocol, you know, training everybody and, you know, making sure that we're following protocol and staying on top of it and, you know, following everything we need to make sure this sort of thing doesn't happen again. But we've hung up more charts, signs, and more, you know, we have signs now that say what date and, you know, how show everybody that right there on the ID, how it says under 21, over 21, you know, right there, you can look at, that's what's awesome about the IDs now. You can look directly at them and see that they say over, which that's pretty cool. You know, years ago, they didn't have that option. So it was a lot harder back in the day. So, yep. So we'll keep on top of it, you know, and we'll just, whatever you guys decide, you know, we'll just make sure we follow this. And, you know, we're doing that. I've got other stores too. We're training at all of them, making sure that going to follow all the proper protocol for it. So I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Is there anybody else that would like to speak on Pizza Hut this evening? Not seeing any. We'll close the public hearing and bring back to council for consideration. Council, any questions or discussion on this one? Councilmember Husnick.
You know, being it's a restaurant situation like we've had for the past two requirements or past two considerations, I still feel the same way for those folks also, because of the fact that they've shut down for so long, and to be willing to, you know, to go along with the 1 year staying of the penalty.
With that, I would motion that we assess the minimum penalty of $1,000 and a 1-day suspension. However, we stay that penalty if they are able to pass all compliance checks for the next 1 year, or no further violations within the next 1 year.
I'll second.
Motion and a second from Councilmember Husnick. Any further discussion on this topic? All right. Karen, can we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Husnick.
Aye.
Councilmember Munson.
Aye.
Councilmember Valento.
Aye.
Mayor Bain.
Aye. Motion approved. Thank you for being here, Mr. Van Beek.
Yep, thank you.
And we'll move on to the Liquor Works, and this is the liquor license off sale violation. Karen, do you want to walk us through this one?
I will. Liquor Works is actually here for two separate public hearings. The first one is for their liquor license. So their first violation was on April 22nd, 2019. And then the second violation was on January 13th, 2020. I believe at the same time, there was a tobacco check that'll come after this, but for the first two, those were the dates on the alcohol compliance failures.
We'll do separate public hearings on these, just so we are doing each one individually. So we will open up the public hearing for the Liquor Works liquor violation. Is there anybody that would like to speak on that topic? I'm not seeing anybody coming forward. Karen, are you?
Yeah, and I don't
seeing-
have anybody. I think the first public hearing that we had at the last meeting too, she was unable to attend because her business was open. So she was unable to attend. I did not hear from her at this time. So I'm assuming that might be the same case.
I'll give one more moment. Is there anybody that would like to speak on the Liquor Works liquor license violation? Not seeing anybody come forward. We'll close the public hearing and bring conversation back to council. This one's a little more challenging for me just to start our conversation here. Off-sale liquor is, I can't speak to this individual business, but in general, that industry has done very, very well. And so it's a different dynamic in COVID than the restaurants that were actually shut down. However, it's not a great time for anybody to be in business. And so I'm a little more conflicted on this and am open to hearing thoughts of council.
Madam Mayor, I would
Councilmember
agree with
Husnick.
I would agree with your statement, though, certainly, but I really, truly, after all this time and all the things that have taken place since then, they may or may not have had a great business. Still feel the same way that we should treat them, same way as we've been treating the others. It's my opinion. One vote.
Understood. Any other discussion on this item?
Mayor Bain.
Go ahead, Councilmember.
No, this one is a tough one for me. I feel like in this situation, yes, COVID's been hard on all, but this is a business that was, not shut down. If I'm thinking in COVID terms, I don't know specifically as well what sales have been for them, but overall, we know they've increased in general, and so I'm just having a hard time with this one.
Yeah, I'm struggling. I think though 2021 is a year of grace, and so I would motion that we also consider the minimum penalty, that we assess the minimum penalty of $1,000 and a 1-day suspension. However, we continue with the stay as long as there are no further violations within the next year.
I'll second.
We have a motion and we'll take a second from Councilmember Valento. And any discussion? Seeing none, Karen, could we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Husnick,
Aye.
Councilmember Munson,
Aye.
Councilmember Valento,
Aye.
and Mayor Bain.
Aye. Motion approved. Our next item is the Liquor Works tobacco license. Karen, do you want to just quick summary?
Yeah, so this one is a little bit different, and there was some changes. It might be beneficial to have our legal counsel explain what happened in the change from compared to the previous public hearing, and the changes that occurred for our ordinance, because the violation or the penalty on this is a $75 fine. I think what our code reads is $550. I'm looking to see. Pete probably has great answer for for the change, and I know it has to do with the minimum requirements of the state, and why this penalty is being imposed as versus the $550 that our code actually currently reads.
Yeah, what is it? Can somebody clarify what is the penalty on this one? Or the suggested penalty?
Your Honor, Mayor, members of council, there is no suggested penalty. There's a mandatory penalty. This is established by state law. The cities don't have any discretion over what this penalty is. This is an area that is different from liquor, where state law allows cities to assess in their discretion. Here, the state law prescribes the penalty. In 2020, the legislature raised the penalties, so the current penalties may feel more comfortable than the ones that existed at the time of these violations. By law, we have to apply the law that applied when they violated. So back in January of 2020, the state statute requires a $75 penalty for the first violation. And so really the only question for council tonight after the public hearing is, do you find that there was a violation? And if so, then what automatically follows is a $75 penalty.
And that is a $75 penalty. And I don't have our code right in front of us. Is there a point in our violation structure where we do suspensions on tobacco?
Your Honor, members of council, there is, but not on a first violation, and all
Not on a first, okay.
First violation.
Okay. And even first violations come to council for approval and have a public hearing, and that's where we are tonight on a first violation.
Your Honor, members of council, that's correct. The alleged violator has the due process right to be heard.
Understood.
And so that's why we're here.
Understood. And so the only question before council, just to make sure I understand, is to confirm that there was a violation. And once we've confirmed that there was a violation, then it is set at that $75.
Your Honor, members of council, if you are satisfied at the conclusion of the public hearing, the motion would be to find they violated the statute or violated the ordinance and assess them a $75 penalty.
Thank you for clarification. Before we open the public hearing, council, any questions on that? All right. With that, Karen, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to give the specifics. So the first one is Liquor Works, and the date of the violation was January 13th of 2020.
Thank you. And with that, we'll open up the Liquor Works tobacco public hearing. Is there anybody that would like to speak on the Liquor Works tobacco item? Pause for a moment and see if anybody comes forward. Again, is there anybody that would like to speak on the Liquor Works tobacco license violation? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and bring back to council for consideration. Council, any questions, or happy to entertain a motion as well? Councilmember Husnick.
Madam Mayor, this is a little bit different situation for me. This is the first violation, and it was their tobacco, and I'm sure that their sales on tobacco hasn't been hurt by this, by the COVID either. So I would recommend that we find them in violation of the tobacco ordinance as written at time of January 13th, 2020.
There is a motion. Is there a second?
A second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Husnick and a second from Councilmember Munson. Any further discussion on this item? Hearing none. Karen, could we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Husnick?
Aye.
Councilmember Munson?
Aye.
Councilmember Valento?
Aye.
And Mayor Bain?
Aye. Motion approved. Next agenda item this evening is Holiday Station Store number 311. Karen, do you want to just, and this is a tobacco violation. Karen, do you want to just walk us through the fact pattern on this one?
This is a tobacco violation, and the date of their First compliance check failure was January 13th, 2020.
Very good. Council, any questions before we open up the public hearing? Seeing none, we will open up the public hearing for the Holiday Station Store number 311 tobacco license violation. Is there anybody that would like to speak on this topic? And we'll hold for just another minute. Is there anybody that would like to speak on Holiday Station Store 311 tobacco license? Not seeing anyone come forward, we'll close the public hearing and bring it back to council for consideration. Councilmember Husnick.
Madam Mayor, this is a similar situation where certainly the stores have been open during the whole time and it's. So I'd make a motion that we find them in violation of tobacco of January 13, 2000.
We have a motion from Councilmember Husnick. Is there a second?
I'll second.
And a second from Councilmember Valento. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Karen, could we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Husnick,
Aye.
Councilmember Munson,
Aye.
Councilmember Valento,
Aye.
and Mayor Bain.
Aye. Motion approved. And our next item this evening is the Highway 61 Stop and Go tobacco license violation. Karen, do you want to walk us through this one?
So Highway 61 Stop and Go, the date of their violation was on January 13th, 2020.
Thank you. And also a first violation, right? Or a single violation?
First violation.
Thank you. Council, any questions or clarifications from staff before we open the public hearing? Seeing none, we will open the public hearing. Is there anybody that would like to speak on the Highway 61 Stop and Go tobacco violation? Mr. Sharma, go ahead. And you're on mute, sir. Bottom left of your Zoom tray, you can take yourself off mute. Oh, you're still on mute.
Oh, okay. Good
There we
evening.
go.
Yeah, good evening and good evening to all the members of the council. And I'm here for my violation notice. And like I want to say that I already accepted my guilty in the county court. And here I cannot be different from the county and the city. So I admit my guilty. So whatever the violation is there, I'm ready to accept it. But it's, I don't know, I don't want to waste time for the council. And this is, we have to talk about this thing, getting, what do you call this thing, checking, because what I feel, I got a little experience being more than 25 years in New York. I never had a ticket there in New York, which is it's not a city, it's a word. And here in a suburb, I take my all the precautions not to be out of the law or something like that. But that day, it happened. It's like the same thing, like distraction on the phone. I was on the phone with somebody and I distract myself and I put the tag on the counter. But it's the same thing. It's not that people get distracted while driving to kill themselves and kill others. Monetary one, and this one, but I'm the practice of this thing. If you consider that I got at least 8 pass of checking. If you have the record of that, I got 8 pass while my store is just there for 5 years now. I got 8 pass. I got few of them, which I want to show at the county attorney And he said, okay, Mr. Sharma, I think you were doing a good job for the community and as well as going by the law. But this thing happened. I will recommend you I will speak to the police department regarding that and to consider this thing, not to have a harsh penalty on you or something like that. I said, okay, that's why I got the adjournment on when I appeared in a county court last year. So like this, I'm not just making myself a victim or something like that, but I just want to say this practice should be elaborated in that way. Like I got being over there at my store 15 hours, 12 hours, whatever day, I go through a lot of things. I live 40 miles away from the Forest Lake, but my goal is to move to Forest Lake after my kids' schooling is done or something like that. I like Forest Lake. I want to be part of the community over there. And at the same time, that like 14 years old kid come and buy a lighter, I ask him question, why you need a lighter? I don't know. That is my legit question to him. To buy a lighter from me? Oh, what? I don't sell him a lighter. I said no. Because he would have steal a cigarette from his mom pack, his dad pack, but he want to light it. You know? And it is, but that's why I'm saying I don't want to waste time, because you guys are doing for the last 2 hours, almost 2 hours. And I will accept my negligence, and I'm ready for the whatever penalties on me. But someday I will come to the when this COVID is over, and we will talk person to person. I will tell how difficult is this to run this kind of business and to have this kind of incident, because I don't know, these cops, they got the guy who was 20 years old. How sure they are that he not going to smoke after he will be 21? I've seen, people told me, oh, my son turned 21, like they were waiting to get him to the bar. Okay, come on, enjoy this word. This is 21, you are 21, you are a man now. But when the things are so bad for the human being, why is like that? Why is like that? Why we should encourage them at our own place? I got the same problem. My son is 20 years old. I got the same problem. I found the smoking the gadget in his room. I'm struggling with that. And he's here. He's listening. He's by the dining table. He's listening. I'm for the last 2 years. I didn't know when he started in school, when he started this thing, and from where he gets that in my neighborhood. So this was something in me. I want to share it, but like then this is my emotions only regarding that. I'm not, maybe one day we will have a good future for our kids or something. We're still struggling. And this is story of every house. But I think the thing starts, I don't know. Thank you very much. I don't want to elaborate. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Is there anybody else that would like to speak on the Highway 61 stop and go tobacco violation?
I think.
Hearing that.
Okay.
Go ahead.
No, I think I was the only one who did this thing, this negligence. So I cannot only speak on my behalf. This is a family-run business. Me and my wife, we only run this business. So I don't think there's anybody who can speak. She's still at the store, and she's closing and coming. I think she's on. So that's my say.
With that, we will close the public hearing and bring consideration back to council. Council, any questions or a motion this evening? Councilmember Husnick.
Madam Mayor, I made the statement earlier on that I don't think any of these folks intended to intentionally sell. Made a mistake. And I would also recommend, being that he is a business that has been able to be through the COVID thing, the violation, first violation, January 13th.
Councilmember Husnick, you say the last part one more time.
In violation of the ordinance as of January 13th, 2020.
There is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Husnick and a second from Councilmember Munson. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Karen, could we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Husnick,
Aye.
Councilmember Munson,
Aye.
Councilmember Valento,
Aye.
Mayor Bain.
Aye. Motion's approved. Thank you for being here tonight, Mr. Sharma. And we will go on to our next agenda item, which is 7H, the 2021 Local Street Improvement Project, authorized plans and specs, and authorized bid for, or ad for bid. And Ryan, please.
Mayor, City Council, in your packet for the 2021 street pavement maintenance project. Also included in your packet is a location map. And then just today, this morning, we received the signed lien waivers for 5th Avenue Southwest that still require the mayor and administrator's signature. But tonight we're here for approval of plans and specification and authorized advertisement for bids for the 2021 street pavement maintenance project. And also included is the tentative project schedule moving forward here with a bid opening plan for March 18, 2021.
Thank you, Ryan. Any questions for Ryan this evening? Ryan, just a confirmation on the signed waivers that you received. Were those all for all property owners?
That's correct.
Thank you. And council, any questions for Ryan? I would move that we approve the 2021 street pavement maintenance project plans and specifications and authorize advertisement for bids.
I'll second.
A motion and a second from Councilmember Munson. Any further discussion? All right, Karen, could we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Husnick,
Aye.
Councilmember Munson,
Aye.
Councilmember Valento,
Aye.
Mayor Bain.
Aye, motion approved. Our next agenda item this evening is the 2021 reclamation and double chip seal project, authorized plans and specifications. Ryan?
Mayor, City Council, this action is to authorize preparation of plans and specs. This is a very easy project to put together, so we would already be back at the next City Council meeting to approve plans and specs and authorize that for bid. This funding comes from our maintenance portion of our state aid. Why we always wait till about this time to actually authorize preparation of the plans and specs is because then we actually know what our real budget comes in with the MnDOT allocations. We did reduce the budget based on the amount of state aid that was reduced to be consistent with the dollars that are coming in. Still able to tackle a lot of the work that we wanted to. So for those of you that aren't familiar with this project and our other minor maintenance projects that we do, typically we've been doing two years of seal coats, and then we jump back to the reclamation and double chip seal project, and we'll jump back to the seal coats and crack filling projects. So with the local street project that you guys just approved, those always generate millings from those projects, and that stuff then is placed on some of the gravel roads to help for the dust and the maintenance of those. And then when we get adequate built up on those is then when we sometimes come in and do these full depth reclamation and double chip seal projects. So just some history with this one, very simple, easy project. So like I said, we'd be back next month. So tonight we're just looking for city council to authorize preparation of plans and specifications for the 2021 reclamation and double chip seal project.
Ryan, is this right? It looks like it is Heath Avenue off of North Shore Trail, 9th Avenue Southwest, and also 240th. Is that, am I picking up those 3 sections correctly?
And 190th Street from Tanner's Brook Golf Course.
Oh, yeah.
Proceeding to the west, stop short by Fenway.
Yep. So, and 2 sections of 190th, right?
Just the one.
Okay.
Yeah, the other one that looks like it's marked up 190th is just the legend to show you what streets are highlighted on the location map.
Thank you. Questions, any council, any questions for Ryan on this? Karen, go ahead.
I just want to clarify, Ryan, is this authorized plans and specs or authorized preparation of plans and specs? Is there a difference? Which one is it?
Authorized preparation of plans and specifications.
I would motion that we authorize plans and specifications for the 2021 reclamation and double chip seal project.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second from Councilmember Valento. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Karen, can we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Husnick.
Aye.
Councilmember Munson. Councilmember Valento.
Aye.
And Mayor Bain.
Aye. Motion approved, and that concludes the end of our planned action items this evening. We'll now go into staff updates. Let's start with Patrick, and then do we have, yep, Patrick and then Dan.
Yeah, just a few things real quickly. I attended a school collaboration meeting on last Friday morning. So we talked to the school district about a lot of different things. They went over all their projects and some of their plans and what they hope to accomplish in the next few years. We met, I mentioned in EDA, we met with Rice Creek Watershed, not the Rice Creek, I'm sorry. Comfort Forest Lake Watershed District about the downtown plan. We still have a little bit, probably a little more than a little bit to go to try to figure that out. It's a very challenging issue downtown, how to use that surface water and where it should go and how it's going to be treated. We're finalizing from the last meeting the golf course contract with Foursome, so we should have that come back to the council very shortly with the final language. And we're getting closer with Stella's and an agreement there. I think we will also have that very shortly, and hopefully everybody will be happy with that. That's all I have.
Excellent. Any questions for Patrick this evening? Seeing none, well, Dan and then Chief Peterson.
Mayor and members of council, I have one quick update for you. The rezoning of the Headwaters 123 is completed. It's finally complete. So we've now rezoned that officially to business park. That's a pretty big accomplishment for that parcel when we look at that on a national, making sure that it maintains competitiveness on a national scale, especially if we're responding to requests for information on that parcel. Having the zoning in alignment helps to keep us at the table when we're doing site selections. So that's a big checkbox to get done. I do want to thank Donovan for all his help shepherding that through both the local regulatory process and the Met Council approval process. He did help with that from start to finish. So I just want to say thank you for all the help he did on getting that rezoning accomplished. And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions for Dan this evening? Seeing none, Chief Peterson, and then Pete.
Yeah, Mayor and City Council members, I have a few items for you tonight. I just want to remind all of our city retailers, every year the Washington County Public Health Department provides all municipalities training opportunities for tobacco and alcohol retailers and their personnel. The information is available on the Washington County website, and they also have quite a bit of free literature that the retailers can request to post in their businesses regarding tobacco and alcohol sales. Our goal, I want to reiterate, as a police department, is to have every tobacco and alcohol retailer pass their annual compliance checks. I also want to remind our community members that they should not leave valuables in their vehicles or leave their vehicles running unattended. As you have probably heard, communities throughout the metro area have observed a sharp increase in thefts from vehicles and thefts of vehicles. And lastly, we have observed a sharp increase of thefts from fish houses and or ice houses that are on our lakes, which our department is taking a very active approach on extra enforcement the last couple of weeks. And that's all I have for you, unless you have some questions for me.
Thanks, Chief. Any questions for Chief? Seeing none, Pete and Amanda, and then we'll do Donovan after.
Your Honor, members of council, tonight I have a report for you. The city has received a lawsuit from Lighthouse Lofts LLC. I know the council is familiar with the situation, and I will be prepared to hold a closed session with council at the next opportunity. The league has taken the case and assigned me the defense, and we'll be happy to speak about it in the appropriate form.
Thank you, Pete. Any questions for Pete this evening? All right, Donovan and then Ryan.
Mayor, members of council. First, I want to say thank you, Dan, for that acknowledgement. And that's 2 comp plan amendments this year and, well, within the last 12 months. 1 more to go. The Smith property behind Mike Menards is still undergoing Met Council review, but I think we'll get that one tied down within the next month or so. With that, I'm happy to take any questions from council.
Any questions for Donovan this evening? Seeing none, we'll go to Ryan and then Dave.
Mayor, City Council, the only thing I want to add tonight is earlier tonight, Karen sent an email out that included information on the online engagements for County Road 33 or Everton Avenue. Highly recommended you guys take the time and fill that out and share that with other people that would be interested in that project. Again, remember some of the conversations that we've had to date include potentially narrowing the shoulders and boulevards and other constraints to reduce any impacts that we can with that project, because we are responsible for 50-50 on the right of way and the trail cost 50-50. So the wider the footprint is, obviously it brings up some safety concerns I have brought up with you guys previously. And then also there's the invitation of on-site parking that we don't want to have to police in the future. So with other characteristics in the project that you guys have comments on, please provide that. I think the deadline is March 5th. So, you know, that will come and go pretty fast if we wait until then. So if that's something you guys could look at this week, if you got any questions too, feel free to reach out. And that's all I have with my update.
Thank you, Ryan. Any questions for Ryan this evening? All right, seeing none, Dave and then Sandy after Dave.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just one update. Just working through interviews for the 2 new positions. Hopefully be back that first meeting in March with seeking council approval. That's all I have for this evening.
Excellent. Any questions for Dave this evening? Seeing none, Sandy and then Jackie after Sandy.
Yes, I just want to let everybody know we are entering our planning stages for the utility billing implementation. March 4th and 5th, we're going to be meeting with our software company to start the planning stages for a July 20th live date. So I just wanted everybody to know that, as well as we did post our position and hope to get good applicants at some point.
Fantastic. Councilmember Husnick gives that a thumbs up. Any questions for Sandy? Seeing none, Jackie and then Karen.
Good evening. I just have a couple things. In the last 28 days, overall engagement has gone up over 200%. We also have been seeing much more positive engagement, which is a really good thing. And I've been tracking posts in an editorial calendar that will help us create a much more formal report that I can share in the future.
Excellent. Would look forward to when it's ready, and editorial calendar would be great to see.
Yes, for sure. We just have to set some baselines and get that going first, but it's in the works.
Very good. Any questions for Jackie this evening? All right, Karen.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. I don't have any updates this evening, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Karen? All right, seeing none, we will go on to council updates, and Councilmember Husnick and then Councilmember Munson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I attended the joint fire board meeting that took place on February 11th. Mainly update from Chief Newman and election ministers and that kind of thing. So not much reports there. And of course, the EDA meeting this evening was a workshop, getting closer and closer to implementing a situation where we can start doing a downtown study. Or you can certainly expand on that. Other than that, I have nothing else.
Very good. Councilmember Munson and then Councilmember Valento.
Thank you, Mayor Bain. Attended the Planning Commission last week, and I think that agenda was all on our agenda this evening that we approved. And then tomorrow the Fenway Advisory Committee is coming back together. If you remember at our workshop last week, council members had a lot of questions around the data and the information that Jamie had around fees. And I do know Jamie decided to bring this group together again to have a conversation with FLA to give them an opportunity to provide that information. And I know that she requested that. And so we'll see what comes out of that meeting.
Any questions for Councilmember Munson? Seeing none, Councilmember Valento.
Thanks. I attended the Cable Commission on February 10th, and we approved 2 new hires, and I believe that they were both in high school and go to Forest Lake. So that was cool. And then we did talk about the Joint Powers Agreement and how Scandia might be wanting to join, and the possibility if they do join, if we want to write up a new JPA, and then what that would entail, who would pay for that. So it was a really good conversation, and I think we'll expand on that in the meetings to come.
Very good, thank you. Any questions for Councilmember Valento? Seeing none, I've just had a couple of quick items. Also attended the fire board meeting, as Councilmember Husnick mentioned, and then the downtown committee meeting from the EDA was this afternoon. Quick note for each of your commissions, so we tonight interviewed for the second time a planner for the downtown plan, and we likely in our next meeting it'll go before the EDA to approve that contract. And as that project gets kicked off, I'm getting a little ahead because we need to approve the contract first, but as that project gets kicked off, great opportunity to bring that information back to each of your commissions. We've had some participation from parks, we've had some participation from planning commission members, and there is certainly EDA representation, but it would be a good, just a good update for all of your commissions on where we're at in the process. Having that planner engaged, things get a little bit more tactical, and that plan starts to come together. And even just to give each of our commissions that timeline and allow folks to engage as they wish, I think we'll have that good opportunity and visibility here in the next month or so. So as that plan gets nailed down and that timeline comes together, we'll get that to you so you can get that information out with your commissions. The presentation we heard tonight had a preliminary plan and vision coming before council for approval springish timeframe. And so we likely would tee that up with some sort of a joint workshop. We'll think about which boards need to be at that joint workshop, but it could be a large audience, just to do a workshop session and get information into council before council were to approve that vision. And then once that vision is approved, spring timeframe, then you move more into some of the planning details. And the current plan would have that first phase of that project be wrapped by January of 2022. So just more information to come, and we'll have some more concrete dates as the EDA considers that contract likely at its next meeting. So good opportunity for those boards that want to get involved to get involved. On a similar note, still continuing to work with the YMCA and the Forest Lake School District on Everyone Belongs. That group is has been in a planning series for the last 8 weeks. We have our last meeting for that planning series tomorrow, and then we will bring back the Full Equity Innovation Labs group that was meeting in the fourth quarter for an update in March. And then there will be kind of that is a handoff point as we move out of this planning phase and into implementation. And that would be a good opportunity for us as council in a future workshop just to talk further about that programming and what does that mean for the city? What do we do with future of Human Rights Commission and some of those other questions we've been asking? That should probably be April, May-ish timeframe, bring back for a workshop conversation. So just wanted to give you an update on that. Any questions? That's all I had for as far as updates, and we are at the end of our planned agenda. So unless there is anything further, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Munson and a second from Councilmember Valento. And Karen, could we have one more roll call, please?
Councilmember Husnick.
Aye.
Councilmember Munson.
Aye.
Councilmember Valento.
Aye.
And Mayor Bain.
Aye. And we are adjourned this evening. Thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your week.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.